Hey, Ross here with TrucutCNC, and in this video we're going to do some drawing and editing in Cut2D. So this is this is your toolbox right here. Okay, so let's start from scratch. Let's get rid of this file. The first thing we're going to do is create a new file. Okay, so we're going to say single-sided, select your sheet size, material surface is our 0 position, and we'll set our XY 0 point at the lower left. So hit OK. Okay, so these are our vector creation tools, our drawing tools, and that's all there is. There's nothing else hidden. It's a very simple program. So we'll start with circles. So click on the circle button. I can create a circle two ways. I can either click and drag, or I can enter a dimension here. So let's click and drag one. And then I let go of my mouse button and it creates that circle. So let's say now that I want one down here at the lower left. We'll create our center point at 0, 0, like that. And we'll create a, let's say 20-inch circle. And we'll hit apply. And it creates that circle down here. Okay, so now if we close out of that, we'll create another one. And this time we'll draw it. Okay, there we go. So we just drew one and we close out of that. Okay, so if we want to edit one of these, and this goes with any of these vectors, if you want to edit one, just open up the circle tool, click on it while holding the shift key, and it brings up, it'll allow you to edit this particular object. So now if I change this to 12 inches, hit apply, it makes it bigger. So if I want to do the same to this, I can hold shift, click on that one, and it brings that up. So I can change the XY too. So let's say that I want to bring this up to, say, 5 and 5. Hit apply. See, it moves it up. Okay, so that's circles. This is a ellipse or an oval. So same thing, same as a circle. I can click and drag, click, drag, let go. Okay, or I can do it just like I did a circle, and I can type in dimensions, type in an XY start point or a center point, and go from there. So the next one is a square. So same thing, we can click and drag. So there's a square with square corners. I'm going to right click to end the command. Okay, we'll do another square. This one we're going to do a radius external corner, and we'll set the radius at, say, 0.025. And it's showing you what that radius is going to look like right here. So now if we click and drag that, oh, I had it set to square. So let's set that to radius and apply. Why is that not taking? Well, okay. Well, I guess it did take. There's our 1/4-inch radius right there. It's just, it looked fairly small. So that one too has a 1/4-inch radius. So let's go back to the square tool. This time we're going to do a radius internal. Let's make it bigger this time so it shows up. Okay. And it made the radius internal right there, as you can see. So same with all the other shapes. I can set a height and a width, hit apply. I can set a X and Y center point or anchor point right here. So play with those, draw some shapes. The next one is a polygon. So just like all the other shapes, I can enter a radius for the polygon, I can enter a center point, or I can just draw it. And here I'm going to select my number of sides. So let's go 5 sides, and I'm just going to draw. Okay, that's it. The next one is a star. So number of points, we'll go say 8 points. Just like everything else, you can enter a center point, you can enter a radius, you can enter an inner radius percentage. We'll start with 50%, and I'll show you the difference. Okay, so we'll draw a star. So there's 50% right there. Now if I lower this percentage, the points of the star will get longer. Like that. Okay, so that's a star. Lines. So these are just straight polylines. So I can enter dimensions, or I can just draw. So click. Wherever I right click, it stops. Starts another one. Right click, right click, right click. And if you remember during our setup, we had all those snap points. Well, this is what they are. See, that's snapping to a squared position right there. You can see the little square. So all these are going to snap to various points. There's a point snap. There's a, looks like a center snap right there. There's another square snap. Now to end the command, we just left click. Okay, so the next one is a arc. So we can draw an arc through 3 points, or we can draw the center and then the start and then the end. So let's do 3 points first. So we'll go here, here, and here. And that's the one I use mostly. So if we do another one, we can do an arc with a center, and so we'll come down here, we'll go, there's our center. Okay, and that's going to be more of a consistent, like a half a circle type of arc, whereas the one up here can be more of a free, freestyle arc. You could also, just like all the other commands, you could enter your start points, end points, radiuses, and all that right here. Okay, the next one is drawing a curve. Now, drawing a curve is kind of strange. It's not what you might expect. It looks as if it's drawing a straight lines, but as soon as I click here, it turns it into a curve. Okay, so it is drawing a curve. It just changes it to a curve after you click. Okay, so the next one is going to be, this is a vector texture, and this has more to do with routing, so I'm going to skip that one. This is drawing text, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all this that I've drawn. And to zoom in and out, I'm using my mouse wheel. So let's just drew a box around that. Box, select it, hit the delete key. Okay, so I'm going to draw some text. So we're going to say, hit the text tool, and we're going to say TrucutCNC. There's our text. I can make it bigger, smaller right here, or I can just create that and then just drag it to whatever size I want. So let's make the text height, say 5 inches. I can change my font right here. Now I'm scrolling through using my arrow key, and as I change to a new font, it shows that. It updates that on the screen. So that's a good one. I like that one. Kind of a military looking font. Okay, so now we'll hit, we have our font, we'll hit close. So right now this is a text object. They're not individual vectors. So to cut this, we would need to turn this into individual vectors. And to do that, we hit this button right here, convert to curves. But I'm not going to do that just yet because I want to show you how to wrap it around an arc right here. Okay, so what we're going to do is select the text and select this button right here, text on a curve. Okay, so now to do this we need a curve obviously. So let's export out. We'll get out of that. Let's take the create an arc tool, and we're just going to go ahead and create an arc like that. Okay, now close. Okay, so now let's select the text, and we'll go back to the, actually we can select both the text and the arc. Click on the text on a curve tool, and it puts the text on a curve. Now you see how the letters are all standing upright. Well, we can change that by this setting right down here at the bottom of this window. Okay, typically this is what we'd want. Now text alignment, we can go left, we can go right, we can go in the middle. What this setting does, this one puts the text above the line, this one puts it right on the line, this one puts it below the line. Now if we want some offset, say a 1/2 inch above the line, that's what this offset does. See, it pushed that text above the line by a 1/2 inch. Now text spacing, what this does is allows us to push the text out a little bit. Okay, as I increase that, it moves the letters apart. Now this setting for text size is maintain text size or scale to fit the curve. So if I say scale, it's going to scale the text up to fit that curve, just like that. Now text on other side, what that means is it turns it upside down, puts it on the other side, just like that. So a lot of control here. You have a lot of control over how to put the text on a curve, and it's very, very easy to do. So now we've done that, let's hit close. We'll get rid of our curve. And now we're going to vectorize this. So it's still a text object. You can see by when I click on it, it lights up all at once, almost like it's grouped. So what we're going to do is click on this convert to curves button right here. And now it's a dotted line. That means it's individual curves. And now it's cuttable. Okay, so I think the next thing we'll do is we'll go over some of the editing options right here. So let's get rid of our text. And we will draw a couple of objects here. Let's draw a circle, a couple of circles. We'll draw a square. Maybe 2 squares. Be an octagon. Okay, so what we're going to do is do some editing with these. So the editing tools, the trimming tools, are really, really nice in Cut2D. So what we're going to do is move this over here. Now to get it to move, what I'm doing is I highlight it and then I click again. And it turns on all these points here. So to move it, I'm going to grab the center point. We'll move it to intersect with the other circle there. Okay, now again click. Okay, we'll grab this, move it up. Now I can modify this. I can make it wider by clicking on the little box on the side. I can make it taller, like that. I can rotate it by going to one of the corners, like that. Okay, so now let's take it and we'll move it up and we'll intersect it with that circle right there. We'll take this square, we'll intersect it right there. We'll take this guy here, we'll make him intersect right there. Okay, so now we have kind of a mess there. So if we were in most CAD programs, what we'd do now is we'd come in here and we'd click, 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 click to get rid of that. And we can do that here too by selecting the scissors tool. Okay, so I'll show you that. So if I click there, see how it trims that out? Trims that, trims that. Okay, now I can go down and do the same thing to all those, but there's an easier way. So I'm going to hit Control Z, and we're going to back out of those commands. So now there's an easier way, and that is the weld command right here. So if I box select all of these, and I click on this weld command, it takes care of all that trimming in one motion without having to do anything. Okay, let's back out of that. Now I can trim in different ways actually. So if we take these two objects, we click on this button, that's what we get. We trim this object with this object. Okay, if we click on this button, we're going to end up with this little triangle here. Okay, so there's a couple of different ways you can trim and weld. Welding is actually a pretty cool thing. So now if these are all join commands right here, and here's how they work. If you take a couple of lines, okay, I'm just going to draw a couple of lines in here like this. Now let's say I want to join those two lines. Probably the best one is using a common intersection right here. This is going to join and close those two lines by selecting a common point. Okay, so if I select those two lines, see how it joins them together? It just kind of brought the two ends together. Okay, I really like that one. That works great. So let's get out of that one. Now you have this one right here. This is going to join the lines by creating a smooth curve. So if we select those two, hit this button here, see how it joined them by making a nice flowing smooth curve. Great for artistic work. Okay, we'll back out of that. And this one's going to join them using just a straight line. So select the two lines, and it just creates a line right between them. Okay, we'll back out of that. Now this one creates, this one joins open vectors, but they have to be fairly close in order for that to work. So if we're not close, like we'll go ahead and click on that. It says we have open vectors and vectors after joining. We're still going to have two open vectors, so they're not close enough, and that's because our tolerance is too far away. Okay, so if we move them closer, or we increase our tolerance, okay, they're probably still too far away. Yeah, so open before and after. So let's just increase our tolerance to say 0.25, quarter of an inch. And still too far away. So let's increase it to 1 inch. Okay, so now if you notice, we have selected vectors. We have two open, and after the joining we'll have one open. So that's perfect. So now we hit join. They join together. Really similar to using this command right here. If I have a drawing and I have very, very small gaps in my drawing that I can't really see, I'm going to use this button right here, Join Open Vectors. Okay, so let's get rid of that. Okay, this button right here, let's see, what's this one? Extend to a common point of intersection. That's a good one too. Let's draw 2 more lines. Okay, so what this one's going to do, it's going to find a common point of an intersection somewhere out here. So instead of moving the lines to join, it's going to extend them to join out here. So let's select both lines, and we'll select extend to a common point. And you can see how it draws that line in just like that. Okay, so I like that one a lot too. That works great. Okay, so now let's create another line here. We'll snap to that endpoint, that square. So now if we want to put let's say we want to put a radius right there. We're going to select the radius tool. And we have a couple of different ways we can radius. So the standard way is going to be a normal fillet. Okay, that's not working. Tool 1. Maybe it needs to work on a square. Let's try a square. And we'll do a fillet there. There we go. You can see how that X comes up. I didn't get that X on that open contour. Now to make it go away, I just click on it again. Okay, create it, make it go away. Create it, make it go away. So a plasma drag knife fillet, when we do tool paths with plasma, sometimes people like to do a loop like that to do corners, looped corners. And that's what that tool does, is loop the corners. I'm not a big fan of that. So that's radius. Typically you'll use the dog bone and T-bone. Radiuses are more for routing. Normal fillet is what you use most of the time. Okay, let's close that. This curve fits curves to selected vectors. Not a real useful tool, so I'm going to skip that one. This one, if you had, let's say, actually let's create a little project here. Let's import some vectors. Okay, we're going to import vectors by clicking on this button up here, import vectors. We're going to go to our samples file on your flash drive. Let's go into letters, and we'll go to a split initial T and open. Okay, split initial T. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put our name in there. We're going to put TrueCut in there. Okay, so we're going to select the text tool right there. We're going to say TrueCut. Okay, it's way too big, but we don't care, so we're going to hit close. Actually, for this, what we want is, let's use a different font. We'll use Times Roman. Let's use that one right there. And we'll make it bold. Okay, so we'll hit close now. So now we have this text object. So what we're going to do is size it to fit. So let's just drag it down. We'll put it right there. We're going to stretch it out all the way to the end and pull it up. Okay, perfect. We want to pull it down just a little bit more. Okay, so now remember the weld tool. So what we want to do to weld all this, first of all, we need to turn this into vectors. Okay, so remember we're going to hit the Convert to Curves tool. Now it's curves, dotted lines. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is select all of this. Okay, we're going to select this and select this. Now we want to deselect this, and I'm going to deselect it just by holding Shift and clicking on it. Something I already have selected. I just hold Shift and click on it to deselect it. Then I'm going to hit the weld button, and it joins all of the text with the letter T. So that's a kind of a simple little project showing some of the functionality. That's actually ready to cut now. We could just take that into CAM, but we're not quite ready for that yet. So now let's say we wanted to size this. That's where these transform buttons come in. Okay, so I'm going to highlight the entire thing. I'm going to click on this Set Selected Object Size button, and it tells me its size right now. Let's say I want to make it 24 inches tall. And I want my origin point to be the lower left. I hit apply. Now it's 24 inches tall. Hit close. If I want to mirror it, I can do something like this. Mirror it top, bottom, left, or right. Okay, now it's backwards. Top, bottom. Flip horizontal, flip vertical, or create a mirrored copy. Creates a copy. Okay, so that's mirroring. Selecting objects. If I drag to the left like this, and touch the object, it's going to select the entire thing. If I drag to the right, it's only going to select the entire thing if I encompass the entire thing inside the box. So here I can go like this, select the whole thing, or here, you can probably guess the only thing I'm going to select is its center of that R, because that's the only thing that was fully encompassed by the box. And I believe that has most of the drawing tools covered. There's one more right here. A boundary create. So let's say that you cut this, but you wanted a boundary. Let's say you wanted to attach it to another plate that may be a different color. So we would select that, and we would select Create Boundary. Hit a distance of 1.25 inches. Let's make it a little bigger, 0.5. Hit Create. And it makes a boundary. So now I could take that and cut that separately. This could be mounted on top of this. We made a backing very easily. Let's see, this tool here opens a picture editor. We're not going to cover that. And this is cropping bitmaps. In the next video, we're going to talk about how to use the vector bitmap tracing feature, which is really, really nice. Best one I've seen so far. Very easy to use. So stay tuned for the next video, and we'll go over that.